On episode 10 of Little City Big Voices, we're talking with Julie Bell, a Little City board member and founding donor of the newly reimagined Bell Family Arts Center at Little City. Julie is a highly accomplished businesswoman with a decades-long career in sales and marketing. She has served on the Little City Board of Directors for 6 years, and her sister Andy lived here at Little City for nearly 60 years. Little City's award-winning Center for the Arts has long been a cornerstone of our mission, and Julie recently made a transformational gift to help us reimagine the space into a fully immersive creative destination for Little City artists. Stay with us. It's going to be a great conversation about the power of learning experiences, creative expression, and social engagement through the arts. So, Julie, this is truly an honor, a privilege to be with you, flying out from California to be with us here at Little City. And I'm just so delighted to have you. You've just done so much for us as an organization from every angle, from creative ideas to being a family member to being on our board of directors, and certainly a major contributor to helping support our mission. So, Julie Bell, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you, Rich. It's such a privilege to be here and to be sitting across from you and being part of the journey that you're leading Little City through, and to have this small ability and opportunity to bring art to life at a whole new level at Little City.
Something that you've helped make possible, Julie. So you definitely deserve a major credit on this. So we will absolutely want to talk more about this transformational gift that you've done that is going to propel our organization, Little City, into new heights for the people we support, for sure. I think the first thing I want to ask you is, tell us about Julie Bell. What's your story, Julie?
Well, I'm just, I'm a proud person from Chicago, and I'm the proudest sister of Andy Bell. And who I am is because having a sister with intellectual development disabilities has made me who I am. So it's interesting because part of my career was I created cosmetics, and I'd travel all around the world. And people would say, Julie, where do you get the ideas to make makeup? And I explained to them that from the time I was a young child, having a sister who was disabled, I was taught by my father, Howard Bell, to always help other people. And so for me, creating makeup was just an extension of helping people feel better about themselves. So I am so grateful for so many reasons to be the proud sister of Andy Bell. And another reason is she has brought me to Little City. And being part of the Little City community, being part of the board, has truly been one of the most uplifting experiences. We all look for a place to make an impact in this world. I think it's all of our responsibilities. And Little City was a gift to me from Andy, because if it weren't for Andy, I wouldn't have the ability to be part of the Little City community, to work with people like yourself, like Ann, like Tina, all the great people on the board. And it was just handed to me. And I'm so fortunate and so grateful to continue the journey to help Little City achieve its mission.
Well, thank you, Julie. There's a couple things I want to dive deeper in with you. Is when you mentioned Andy, who's by far one of the most amazing humans who just brightens so many people's day. Do you recall back when you were growing up? Because this is really exciting. This is the first time we've had a sibling on this podcast of someone who has an intellectual and developmental disability. Do you remember, if you dig back in your memories, like when you first realized that Andy had an intellectual developmental disability? Do you remember that? Or was it just always, this is Andy and this is who I know?
Well, it's a good question because, Andy's an aging adult, like all of us who are aging. We kind of look back and think about things. So I love that you asked me that question. We knew that Andy was special, and that, my father, Howard Bell, always said, pay attention, watch out for Andy. But back in the 50s, people didn't talk about, and the word back then was mental retardation. So no one mentioned it. It was almost, you were shamed if you had a child or a family member who was different. So they couldn't diagnose Andy. Nobody knew what was wrong with her. So she went to a camp for special needs and someone pushed her off the top bunk and she lost her front teeth. And that's why I always thought Andy was a little different because she didn't have the same teeth that we did.
Wow.
And then there was a very wonderful pediatrician in Chicago who was the one who diagnosed her. And Little City had just found it. It was farmland out here. And I remember probably the most meaningful story of Andy as a child is when she was leaving for Little City. And she's this little girl, and she had on this big hat and coat. My dad's driving her off in this big car. And we're standing out the window and we're just crying. And I just, ran out and I said, I'm so sad to see my sister leave. And he said, Julie, Andy is going to a place where there are people like her, and she's going to have a wonderful life. She's going to make friends. She's going to be so happy, and you're going to go visit her all the time. So that was my first introduction to Little City, and it was a very small campus back then. Palatine was farmland, and to see how it's grown and how it continues to grow to be this thriving community and giving so many people the lives that Andy had here and people will continue to have. And my hope, my dream with the Art Center is that more people will have experiences through art like Andy did.
Wow. That's a very moving story, Julie. And I didn't know that. I don't believe I've ever asked you that question before. So here you are seeing your sister, dropping her off, just tears, wondering what's next for her. Am I going to see her again? And your father, Howard Bell, which I know he's certainly a living legend at Little City. I got to imagine that he was also trying to hold it together himself because this had to be a major decision for him to choose to have Andy receive services at Little City. Yeah.
Two things on that.
Mhm.
Back then, people didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And it was really hard because, it wasn't something that we acknowledged. But he loved Little City. And he'd come home from they had parent family group meetings, and he would tell us everything. And one of the first lessons he taught me is, pick your battles. And it was a lesson about Little City, but I've taught it. It's helped me through the rest of my life. So he would hear parents complain about, I don't like the shampoo my kid's having or this or that. And he would stand up and he would tell me, he would say, think about the life your child is getting. Think about the care they're getting. Think about the experiences that Little City is giving them. So let's not worry about the little things. Let's worry about the big picture to make sure they're getting the care they need. So Little City was something that was very important to him. One of the greatest memories is there's two parts of how we celebrated Andy. Andy's birthday is on Halloween, and no matter where you were in the country, my father expected you to fly in and celebrate Andy's birthday. She became part of the Special Olympics team. And it was literally one of the most exciting things when we went to Normal, Illinois, where she made it to the finals. And we were so proud. And I remember turning around to a family behind me, and there was two parents and two young kids. And I said, do you have a family member here? And they said, no. And I said, well, what brings you here? And I was so moved by their story. It also inspired me to continue to give back to help people with disabilities. They said, we want to make a difference, and we think that people with disabilities deserve the same opportunities as all of us. And, you have moments in your life where you meet people that truly impact you and say, you can do more, you can do better. And that family at Special Olympics really touched me. After that, every single time we saw Andy, the only thing my dad asked of Little City is that she always wear her medals. He was so proud that no matter what time of year, what occasion, Andy Bell had to come home with all of her medals on.
That's awesome. One thing, Julie, that you said earlier that really stuck with me is you mentioned Andy having friends and connecting with others socially. there's more and more research that as there's a study that Harvard's done for decades, this longitudinal study. And one of the things that said that led to many folks feeling satisfied with life was relationships and having friendships, having people in your life that care about you, that you can engage. And when I think of Andy, I think of the social butterfly. I think of her having a host of friends and being connected with a lot of people. The notion of having friendships, did you see that for Andy in the years as she was growing up, and how she was able to almost create her own social network, so to speak, as you were creating your own social network in life as well?
Before she came to Little City, Andy didn't have a life.
Wow.
So Little City provides not just the services, and as you say, the social connections. Andy was very, her friends, and most importantly, the staff. So, I think we can't have this conversation without talking about the staff and the DSPs who work at Little City, because they are truly the lifelines for somebody who lives in, whether it be Asilla or whether they live on campus. The connection that they make with the residents and the clients of Little City is by far the most inspiring relationship you can form.
Mm-hmm.
So the friendships are important, but the people who work here also are their friends.
Yeah.
And, to do the work they do day in and day out, which is very challenging and very rewarding, or they wouldn't do it, is by far probably some of the most significant contributions anyone can make and an impact on someone's life. So, Andy knows when someone's was on vacation, when it was
Mm-hmm.
their birthday, not just her friends, but this, the staff and the DSPs are really, for me, the backbone to what makes Little City thrive and so successful. And, I know you give such acknowledgement and appreciation to them. And I just want everyone to know that all the people who live at Little City are so safe every day because of the great care they receive.
Well, I appreciate that, Julie, because you said it far better than I could, for sure. Our direct support professionals, or DSPs, absolutely are the backbone of our organization. And I think, unfortunately, we live in a world that sometimes that position's underappreciated. And some might say, don't see the need for this type of work. When we realize the impact that they're making on so many lives, like Andy's and so many others that not just Little City serves, but all DSPs across the nation who they serve, is they are essential. And not only are they essential, they're professionals who are professional at developing these types of relationships that are authentic. It's not just I'm on the clock, clocking in, clocking out, and I'm just working with this other human. I'm working with a friend. I'm working with, in some cases, they look at them as family members.
Yes.
So if you were to have advice for somebody like yourself who's a sibling to other siblings out there, like what advice would you give them if they have a sibling who has an intellectual and developmental disability, and maybe they don't know where to start or what to do? Do you have any guidance or thoughts on that, Julie?
It's a brilliant question. I haven't thought about that. I would just, treat your sibling no different. And just because someone has a disability, they deserve the same amount of love.
Mm-hmm.
They deserve the same amount of attention and acknowledgement. And the best part of being a sibling of someone who's IDD is you will get more love back than you ever imagined. Because people with intellectual developmental disabilities are probably the most loving, generous people. And it's the greatest gift. So I would just tell a sibling, don't be afraid and go all in, because it's a privilege. It's a privilege to have a sibling who needs a little bit more. And it's very humbling.
Mm-hmm.
It's very humbling to realize that not everybody has the same opportunities that you have. So give them all your love.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful advice, Julie. The the part that you've touched on too is when we shared Andy's experience when she did receive services, start receiving services at Little City. She innately already had some talents, skills, abilities. What we did, from what sounds like from your story, what Little City has done with the help of your support and your father's support, is provide them the tools to be successful. And so when I look at this, look at those we support today. Many of them are individuals who are already talented, but it's about providing them the opportunities, the tools, which leads me to where we're sitting is the Bell Family Arts Center. So if someone does not have the opportunity to express themselves, then it's going to be difficult for them to express themselves. And that's where I feel like what you've done and we've collectively have done as an organization is creating these opportunities that build people up and give them the skills, the voice, the confidence to navigate their world in life. And you've certainly been a part of that. So if you don't mind, can we talk about like how we this place we're sitting in, which is the Bell Family Arts Center. It's named after your family. How did this come about? And what is this place?
So, such a big question. And of course, this brings tears to my eyes to think about what a opportunity and privilege it is to be able to have a family legacy at Little City. It was always my dream. But I just want to go back for a minute to to explain something you said about art and experiences. So we had a family tragedy, and Andy couldn't express herself.
Mm.
And, she was struggling like all of us from loss, but she didn't know how to communicate it. So there was a very wise case manager here who said, why don't we put Andy in art therapy? So Andy really hadn't done art before.
Okay.
And she started coming to the art center, which back then was a small little dilapidated chicken coop building, but it had so much soul. It had so much heart. It was such a special place. And she'd come every afternoon, and it went way beyond her being able to express her grief. It became her happy place.
Mm.
So these were all of her friends, and they would sit and draw together, and they would talk, and it became the buzz of really Little City. So the art center was, something very special. It was really therapeutic but transformative for Andy and so many other people. And she developed this great talent of drawing these circle, that's her trademark, or her circle drawings and paintings. And so later in life, I realized that I wanted to do something. And I wanted to do something for Little City to show my gratitude, my appreciation for the amazing life Andy has had here, but also to be able to make an impact for other people to have the same great experiences that Andy did. So it was actually a perfect storm because Little City received a grant from DCEO. And about the same time, I was working with Tina, who's head of development, and she knew I wanted to do something. And we both had this, passion for the art center. So it was the perfect time because I was able to make this transformative donation, as Anne likes to say. And with that, combining it and raising such awareness to the art center, we were able to raise a lot of money. And we are so excited to be able to soon open the most state-of-the-art, best in class, innovative art center for people with disabilities. So for me, it serves three purposes. Number one, it's going to be the greatest place for, all the clientele to come here and, really encourage them in their creative expression. Number two, the Art Center has always been the gateway for Little City. So when people do tours, they would come to the Art Center. Many board members, many new businesses, they would come to the art center and they would fall in love because the art center is the heart and soul of Little City. To sit and watch people drawing and the magic and the conversations, it's just you just can't describe it. It's so special. And third of all, from a development point of view, it gives us the ability for brand awareness, to invite people here, to invite visiting artists, to really showcase the art center and to use this building for many purposes. So, this building, this art center, my hope is that it will be not just a building, but something that thrives and becomes a long-term pillar of Little City's mission.
That's a amazing story of how this came to be. We, for those who are listening, this is located in Palatine, our campus, the center. The part that you'd shared about the social connections, because I know as this idea began to formulate, involved some of those, call them strategic pillars, as it relates to what we seek to accomplish for the folks who receive supports through this art center. And one of them was the social connections that you mentioned, that this is a place for folks to create friendships, hopefully new friendships, build upon existing friendships, the learning process, the learning experiences of like your story with Andy. She had it within her the whole time, but she wasn't given the opportunity. And then when she was given the opportunity, and she just learned more and more and honed that skill over time because of the frequency of her coming to the art center. So gaining those experiences. And then the creative expression is the being able to put images and communicate through art, especially for folks who we support who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. Oftentimes they can't put the words together. In some cases, they can't put any words together. They don't have the verbal ability to do so. And when I look at Andy's art, I look at some of our other artists' art, it's just, they're masterpieces. They're artists. It's not just, oh, this is a cute little painting that someone who has a disability created. They're truly artistic masterpieces. And I know someone could say that, the eyes in the beholder. What's interesting is when we show our art to other folks, they would never know it was someone like Andy or anyone else who has an intellectual and developmental disability that put that art together. They would never know unless you actually told them. And that's the beauty of what we've created here and what you've helped create and build upon. So when we look at, you mentioned the DCEO, the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. This was certainly made possible through State Representative Michelle Mussman. So she's been a pivotal person in helping create this. You truly created that transformation to just take it to the next step. Because originally the idea was to do some modifications, basic upkeep, because this was years ago a chicken coop and kind of close to in shambles, I would say, if it wasn't for that DCEO grant. But you took it to the next level that recreated immersive experiences for artists, creating a cafe, creating all these other opportunities that come along with it. That said, it's been like a domino effect in a positive way, because your transformational gift, Julie, has led to other opportunities such as IKEA now getting involved in completely donating all of the furniture for this center. Middleby providing the additional equipment for the cafe. That act has been like the maybe it's tacky, throwing the pebble in the water and you get the rings that expand. That's what this has done. And now it's continuing on. It's not going to stop there. This is, as you said, opportunities for other businesses to be involved, other community members to be involved. And it's just so exciting to see. So thank you. Thank you for your transformational gift.
Thank you. And I think the way you just described the three pillars, learning experiences, creative expression, and social engagement, there's something for everyone in those 3 pillars.
Yes.
And that's what's gonna keep this art center sustaining for years. I have a vision that even local artists in the community, they may be looking for a space to do a pop-up art show. There's artists that are gonna come in that are gonna wanna work with, the clientele here and provide different opportunities. There's an enormous opportunity with Andy's Cafe to be able to rent the space, to be able to host different parties. I mean, Little City's having a party here to bring the board here
Right.
on at the end of April, which is so exciting. So family members may be looking for a place to host a party. And instead of going to a restaurant, they can use the art center. So there's so many opportunities between art, social, and learning. And I just think it's just going to thrive for years and years. And I can't thank you, Rich, and obviously Tina and IKEA, Middleby, all these people who've immediately jumped on this. It just proves it's like an object in motion stays in motion. And there is a snowball here that's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger because, art makes people happy and art brings joy and art brings expression. And Little City is just such a joyous place. And even if there's a blizzard going on or there's a bad day, you can come to the art center and you can just, for anyone, you can just have a cup of coffee and you can enjoy yourself and turn your frown upside down. So I invite everyone to come to the art center and have a great experience here at Little City.
Love that, Julie. Thank you. Thank you. And I would be remiss to say that I deserve zero credit in this. This is all our team, and working with you and with others, with working with IKEA, Middleby. Our team is just beyond amazing to have something this big come to fruition. And I think to your point, your transformational gift is the starting point. We needed a team that can actually get it done, and here we are, and this is getting done, and that's what's so exciting. And so it's a privilege for me to witness all of this happening. So thank you.
Well, the team did it. It's not even a year.
Right, right.
In May, we went for it, and it's not even a year. And here we are sitting. So everyone knows we are actually sitting in the art center, and the floors are done, the walls are up, the handicap bathrooms are state of the art, stunning. The kitchen is magnificent.
Andy's Cafe.
Andy's Cafe.
Yes.
Andy's Cafe. This building is amazing. So thank you to everyone who's put, I could go on and on all the people here from the building team, the architects, the permits, what we went through to get everything in the middle of the winter. It is amazing. So the biggest thank you to everyone who's worked on this ground up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Julie. So a final question for you. If you had to give advice to someone out in the community about how you can give back, whether you're a business owner or work for a corporation, if you're somebody who is scratching for an itch of, hey, I want to do something, I don't know what to do. What advice would you give them, Julie?
Great question. I would say, like anything in life, find your passion. Because if you're passionate about it and it means something to you, you will do it all the way and you will do it well. So you want to always bring your most authentic self to anything you do. And giving back is such a privilege and such an opportunity. And if you're passionate about it, you'll feel even better.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. The part I'll add to what you just said, Julie, is we could also if someone were generous enough to give to Little City, we can give them the gift of meaning because they're creating so much meaning for the people we support. So But Julie, thank you so much. Appreciate you joining us on this podcast. It's been a delight, and I just appreciate you flying in from California to be here with us. You are truly I'll call you a mentor to me, someone I've looked up to in my time at Little City, someone who is not afraid to knock down walls, doesn't take no for an answer, does everything she can to truly be a leader, not just in our community, but I would say nationally. Julie, you are a national leader, maybe even a global leader, but I appreciate your leadership. And I just adore you as a person, and I'm just so thankful that you're here.
Thank
So
you.
thank you, Julie.
Thank you.